the Food and Drug Administration gave its approval for an implantable microchip to be used for medical purposes. This paves the way for the prophecies in the Bible's book of Revelation, which foretold about a coming mark that would be put into everyone's right hand or forehead. The book of Revelation was written by John the prophet about 2,000 years ago, and now the technology has come out in the last few years to make this happen. This will be the one world leader's mark, also called the Antichrist mark, or the mark of the beast. And all those who receive it will be doomed with no turning back once you receive his mark. If you do not receive his mark, you will not be allowed to buy or sell anything. Then the world ruler will begin to put people to death for not receiving his mark, perhaps because you will be labeled a radical or a terrorist, or a Christian. The Bible warns us that those of our own households will turn against us. The Bible also talks about a deceiving spirit that will cause unbelievers to harden their hearts against anyone who tries to warn them against receiving the mark in their right hand or their forehead. The book of Revelation describes the mark of the beast in this manner. Revelation chapter 13, verses 16 through 18. He forced everyone, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead. And no man can buy or sell unless he had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him who has understanding calculate the number of the beast. For it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. This beast described in the book of Revelation will possess power. In Revelation chapter 13, verse 4, we read, "And they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him?" Though the consequences will be dire for those who refuse to take the mark of the beast, the consequences will be much worse for those who do take the mark of the beast. Revelation chapter 14, verses 9 through 11 tells us, "If any person worships the beast and his image and receives his mark in their forehead or in their hand, they shall be tormented with fire and brimstone, and the smoke of their torment will ascend up forever and ever. And they will have no rest, day or night, those who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receives the mark of his name." Also the scriptures tell us in Revelation chapter 16, verse 2, "A noisome and grievous sore came upon all the people who had the mark of the beast, and on them who worshipped his image." Interestingly, as reported by one doctor, dealing with the microchips, if the battery bursts or breaks, it will cause a very bad sore on that person. Do not be tricked by the power that the beast may appear to possess. The scriptures tell us the future for the beast and the false prophet. Revelation chapter 19, verse 20 tells us, "And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that performed miracles before him, which helped him to deceive people who had received the mark of the beast and those who worshipped his image. They were both cast alive into the lake of fire, burning with brimstone. Many people in the world think the microchip will solve a lot of the world's problems. Some are already saying the sooner the better. Maybe then we can get a handle on those who pose a threat to society. They think the microchip will prove invaluable, with a person's entire medical history and identification stored on it. It will help protect children and the elderly. It will solve identity theft and stealing problems. You'll never have to carry around cash, debit cards, credit cards, or medical information. It will stop terrorism, as each mark will be able to be traced through GPS. The microchip is also a high-tech helper that could increase security at nuclear plants and military bases and allow consumers to buy their groceries, literally with the wave of a chipped hand. We are on the verge of creating a surveillance society in America where every movement and every action will be traced, monitored, recorded, and correlated. The most sophisticated chips are now the size of a small grain of rice. Yet, they are more sophisticated than anyone could even possibly imagine. In design, the chip is simple, cheap, implantable devices, and quick, low-cost implantation have made shipping easy and affordable. It takes about 20 minutes and does not require stitches. A medical-grade glass capsule holds a silicon computer chip, a copper antenna, and a capacitor that transmits data stored on the chip when prompted by an electromagnetic reader. Implantations are quick, relatively simple procedures. After a local anesthetic is administered, a hypodermic needle injects the chip under the skin. Then a chipped person's medical profile can be continuously updated, since the information is stored on a database accessed via the internet. Chip tracking and scanning is reliable thanks to wireless, GPS, and RFID scanning networks. This biomicrochip is a computer microchip that is both a transponder and a receiver. In other words, this microchip constantly sends out a signal that can be picked up by tracking stations, and it can be changed millions of times with technology similar to that of UPC code technology, thus allowing it to be used for financial and personal transactions throughout the lifetime of an individual. This microchip will send out a signal constantly throughout every day that will uniquely identify that person at his or her whereabouts. There will be no way a person can hide from authorities once this new microchip is installed.
Our constitutional journey did not stop then, and it must not stop now, Judge. And we'll be faced with equally consequential decisions in the 21st century. Can a microscopic tag be implanted in a person's body to track his every movement? There's actual discussion about that. You will rule on that, mark my words, before your tenure is over.
As already mentioned, this biomicrochip will constantly be sending out a very low frequency signal identifying each individual on Earth. These signals will be picked up by a combination of Earth-based antennas, such as antennas now being furbishly constructed for the cellular phone network, and by stationary satellites in low-level orbit. The tiny microchip can contain 34 million unique sets of individual identification codes, thus easily providing the capability to assign a unique code to every human on the planet to date. Plans call for this implantable microchip to be utilized instead of passports and driver's license. People can be identified for every government program in existence by scanning this microchip. These microchips have been implanted in animals through the veterinarian channels for almost 2 decades now, so that the problems with this technology have been identified and solved.
28-year-old Mikey Sklar has a lot in common with his 2 cats. They both have something that sounds like it comes right out of the future. Tiny implants loaded with their personal information, chips surgically put into their bodies. They're called RFID tags, normally used to track things like shipping containers and marathon runners. For the cats, it's a device which keeps tabs on them if they get lost. For Sklar, well, he says it's to make life more convenient.
I want to use it as an identification system so I can get personal information to show up. So I can scan my hand and have information about my favorite websites and email address and weather all be displayed for me through some custom hardware projects I've been working on.
There is no question that most people will take this mark. After having received this critical information ahead of time, the only question that remains is, will you take the mark?
As we talk,